FM. This is Penn Jillette. Clapping out of time is the very white Paul Provenza.
I like music.
I think you were doing Jerry Lewis there, weren't you?
Might have been.
Paul Provenza here, of course, always with Michael Goudot. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, Teller.
And we're here at Free FM, penradio@gmail.com. Two guests, Paul Provenza, great stand-up comedian. And how many shows have you taken into the ground?
I am the scourge of primetime. When the cast says, look, they won't let us out of our contracts, let's create a character.
But you were on what? Not North by Northwest.
Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure. And you took over from a
lot of people remember that because it's right around the time they stopped watching.
And what other show?
Beggars and Choosers. But I didn't kill that one, though.
No, you didn't at all.
No.
But there was another show that was like, you weren't on Full House or something.
No, Facts of Life.
Oh, Facts of Life.
Empty Nest.
Those are different shows?
Empty Nest was what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. It's just too many to remember.
Now, when you went into those, did you know they were going to be tanking?
Well, you go into Northern Exposure, for example. First of all, that was actually very funny to me because I was just excoriated on the internet for going on the show, as if it was my fault that Rob Morrow was leaving. And I actually would respond to people, and I would do stand-up dates, and Northern Exposure fans would come, and then I would be very nice and cordial to them, not because they were Northern Exposure fans, oftentimes without my even being aware of the fact that they were like high up in the Northern Exposure fan club, the actual rigid organized, and slowly but surely it started to come around that I was actually an okay guy and that I was actually doing pretty good work, and that I was very different from Rob Morrow, but I had nothing to do with Rob Morrow leaving. So that was a really interesting experience, going into some place where you're already hated, and. But when you're going into a series in the 5th season, I mean, there's a pretty good chance you're only going to go 1 or 2 more seasons at most.
Now, did you have the same name as the same character?
No, it was a totally different character. In fact, it was almost they almost went in the other direction. Rob Morrow was a guy from the city that didn't want to be in a place like Alaska, but he was forced to go there to pay off this government money that that put him through med school. Mine was the opposite. Mine was a guy from a city who was very successful in a practice, but had this crisis. He wasn't happy with his life, and he and his wife choose to go to the wilderness.
I see.
And they sort of met in the middle in terms of the experience.
Now, do you have? Is there some sort of web page for people who've taken over? I mean, there's 2 Darrens on Bewitched, right?
Right.
Who else has taken over shows like that? Who's done what you tried to do successfully? That's what I'm trying to find out.
That's a good question. There are a couple. I think on some of those like Green Acres kinds of shows, I think they replaced a few people once in a while.
Not even Gabor, not with the Pooderator.
But they could have, and you wouldn't have noticed.
That's true.
I'm sure there are some. I don't recall.
And then you did. And then you started out stand up, right?
Yeah.
And did stand up forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you still go now. When you do stand up, you've done a lot of stuff overseas.
Yes.
And I tried to get in touch with you once on email, and you were doing stand-up in Dubai.
Yes.
What was that like?
And
who's booking it?
Kuwait and Abu Dhabi and other cities, which names I can't pronounce. I can give you the guy's number, actually. You know what? It sounds dopey, but let me tell you something. When you get a phone call and say you got an option to do a weekend in Amarillo, Texas, or a weekend in Abu Dhabi, what choice would you make?
Amarillo. The other person laughing here is, I just want to say that another good friend, this is Friends Day on the Penn Jillette Show. He's
Monday,
James
Tuesday,
Randi.
Friends Day.
It's James Randi of the James Randi Educational Foundation who's laughing. Now you can go on with your Abu Dhabi story.
And this is sort of a reunion because we did the show together, I don't know how long ago. Yeah. No, it's great fun. You'll love this. As co-creator of The Aristocrats.
Okay, good.
Which is all about having no boundaries with language and being free to do whatever you want.
Right.
When you go to places like Abu Dhabi or Dubai, you're in a fundamentalist state, and there are rules and regulations.
You mean like here?
And kind of, except there they at least have the courage to acknowledge it.
Okay.
And there are actually spies. There are actually government officials who will come in and make sure that entertainment falls within certain boundaries. And there are rules and regulations that they give you very clearly about, you can't say certain things. You can never speak about Islam in any entertainment context. You cannot malign, religion or certain political figures or any sort of thing like that. And
what is that entertaining about Islam?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, you know what? You come and see my show. So the interesting thing was that was actually fun for me because the audience, which is English-speaking expats, are very aware of these rules and regulations.
Now, this is not a military base.
No, not at all. You know, actually, the United Arab Emirates, which is sort of like Middle East light. You know, it's a Middle East country.
I thought he was going to say the Marx Brothers.
It's a Middle East country, and it is a fundamentalist country, and there are a lot of rules and regulations. It does have a state religion and all, but they acknowledge the fact that their entire economy is driven by technology and expertise and skill from the West, and investment from the West and what have you, and 85% of the population of the United Arab Emirates is expat.
Wow.
About half of that is expat from third world countries, which are in the service economies. All the busboys, all the waiters, all the hotel workers, all the mechanics, they're Filipino or Pakistani or whatever. And the Westerners who are the expats there are all over there. You know, they're teaching, they're running corporate offices and opening up franchises for TGI Fridays and Kentucky Fried Chicken and what have you.
Are they getting paid like tremendous amounts of money?
Enough to make them pick up and move to.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So the point is that they're very worldly. Most of them are educated, and they're hungry for it. And so they come out and they come and see these shows, and they are very aware of the restrictions you're under. So it becomes a different kind of game that's actually more entertaining in many ways for me to say the things you want to say without actually saying them.
Who were you following in there? Creedence Clearwater Revisited? Was it one of the original coasters? Some of the platters?
Dennis Miller, mostly.
He's the only one really right-wing enough.
Huge over there.
Huge. It's kind of a Beverly Hillbillies type oil thing, babe.
I love it when you do impersonations.
I was actually...
This is the highlight of my show, really. Anytime you do that, I'm so happy.
Pour him a cup of shut up, would you? just
come on, do Yosemite Sam.
Nice hot cup of shut up.
Yosemite Sam.
Okay, so you're working under all these restrictions.
Yeah, and it just gets interesting. It gets interesting to make the point, and what, because the audience is kind of in on it. You know,
sure.
It's very common knowledge that you have these restrictions.
Give us an example. How many? Is this a bar type situation?
Well, different venues. Promoters will promote these shows, and they'll find, they market to the English-speaking expat audiences. There are radio stations just for them. There are hotels, huge mailing lists, and things like that. Various organizations. Like there's a cricket club in Kuwait City.
So, what does this hotel look like? I mean, what does the room look like?
Well, the venues vary. Sometimes when you go, in other words, they'll promote a series of shows, and they will book venues each time out. The next time they go and promote these shows, they may have to find a different venue. So sometimes you're in like the cricket club in Kuwait has a I know it's very surreal. It's a tremendously entertaining thing to do. They have like a little auditorium, and so they'll rent that space out and do a show there. Sometimes it'll be in a pub. They have like Irish pubs in the middle of Abu Dhabi, and they'll set up a show there.
It's a great world.
It is. It's absolutely tremendous.
And how many people?
Depending on the size of the venue and the particular market in these places, they can be anywhere
ones you worked.
Well, anywhere from 250 to about 600.
Oh, cool.
Wow. Now, I mean, I am putting you on the spot.
And they're always packed, by the way. That's the other thing. It's a great vibe and energy.
For you, they're packed.
Sure.
When Creedence Clearwater Revisited comes in, 4 or 5 people maybe. Dennis Miller, maybe 2. But when you come in, it's packed. But this is putting you on the spot. You can just say no.
So what else is new?
But can you just do a little bit of your act with all those restrictions? I mean, we are under the FCC, which is a Judeo-Christian.
I got to be honest with you. Every time I'm going to do one of those, it's a very long and complicated process for me to do it.
And you get actual pieces of paper that say there is no God but Allah.
Well, no,
which
it doesn't say that.
It just is really right. I only have problem with the but Allah part.
Right with you all the way. Really.
Almost all the way.
No, a friend of mine went over there, and this is interesting. In Dubai, they have a particular rule about not mentioning prostitution. And ostensibly it's because they find that an offensive Western concept, and the mere acknowledgement of it is a promotion of it.
I see.
Really what it is the fact that everybody goes to hookers, and the place is crawling with hookers, and they really don't want you to point a finger at it. The honest to God truth. I went to, the first night I was there, I went to a restaurant.
Honest to God truth? Because that really does violate our rules here in the Penn Jillette
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a colloquialism that I often use, not really, thinking about it, but just goes to show you how hard and fast that culture gets in your system there. Anyway, the place is crawling with Russian hookers, most of whom are under 18.
Well,
I mean, crawling with them.
And it's better when they're crawling. Yeah. Maybe that's just me.
So that's one difference from Lubbock.
Yeah, it's a trip.
No, so is there material you do on hookers, so to speak?
Well, you wander around, you go to the souks, and you wander around, sort of explore the local culture. And
souks?
Yeah, souks. Yeah.
What's that?
That's a marketplace. It's like an open air market kind of thing, which hasn't changed in 700 years. And in fact, you don't want to eat there because it really hasn't changed in 700 years.
You could do that joke, right?
Yes, I could do that joke.
You could do that joke.
Yeah, I could absolutely do that joke. There's stuff like that. But when I talk about religion or politics or something like that, again, you sort of have to find little backdoor entries.
But you can't give us any example at all.
I actually have to work very, very hard at it.
I bet you do.
I really do. And off the top of my head, I can't right now. I mean, I'd have to try and remember some. As this progresses, if I remember one, I'll throw it in.
And do you hang out afterwards? Do you go to Thank Allah It's Fridays restaurant?
How long have you been able to do that joke?
TAIT?
I got to tell you right now.
Yeah,
I got to tell you right now, I'm stealing it. I'm going to use it the next time I'm there. And I was going to tell you that this friend of mine was doing your show there, and he did make a reference to somebody in the front row being with a hooker. And
is that Headless Bill?
Well, you laugh.
I do.
Back in his room at about 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 guys in uniform escorted him to the airport. And he was deported immediately.
Did they carry his luggage?
And he got off easy. I was expecting to see him.
His closing night.
I was expecting to see him at the Comedy Store in London the next weekend going, hello, you all.
Oh, really? But that's a true story.
They're very serious about it, yeah.
So you follow the rules there.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can take some chances because there's a pretty slim chance that there will be an undercover person in there that's going to make a fuss about that. But you never know about the help. They may give rewards to people for turning people in and stuff like that. And you just do have to be careful. And also out of respect for the promoters who you don't want their business to get.
But you're an American citizen. So, yes. I mean, if you were to have trouble... Sylvester Stallone wouldn't come in and save you.
I know where you're going, but let me tell you, I don't think you can count on the government to bailing you out.
You can't.
No, I don't think we can.
I'm not going.
You're supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to, but I ain't.
Don't go back. We need you. We want you. We like you. More or less. But you may not come back next time.
Oh, I'll be back. Believe me.
Where's the goofiest place you played, Randy?
I've never been in Abu Dhabi. I got to admit that. No, but
it's not hard to admit, Randy.
The goofiest place. Oh, that'd be hard to say.
Amarillo.
Well, there's that.
Well, you played. I mean, we were working on I'm working with a woman named Kim Scheinberg on Randy's biography, and there's all those stories about you working in the segregated South.
Oh yeah, well,
which is actually scarier than you being in the.
No question.
Well, I'll give you a story.
No question.
I'll give you a story. This was back in the year 3 or something like that. Hanson's Drugstore was still going.
Hanson's Drugstore.
Oh, yeah.
Placed all the variety artists out in New York.
And,
so the early 60s.
The early 60s, yeah. And I was sort of new in town, but I literally was hanging out on Monday mornings in Hanson's Drugstore.
You were literally hanging out?
Literally.
Okay,
literally.
good. Yeah. You should check that before you leave the house.
Yeah, really. with people
that
like...
explains that morals charge.
Hetty Youngman, for example, would come in and hold forth at a table, yeah. And so it was a place that I went frequently for coffee. And I walked in one day with a contract in my hand, and I announced to everybody, hey, I'm going to play Florida. I'll be there for 3.5 weeks. And there was silence around the table. And I said, what? What's wrong? He said, you'll be at a fist fight within minutes. And I said, what? Yeah, they work for segregated audiences down there. And I said, oh, never thought of that. So I had the contract with me. And at the end of the contract, there was space. And I just wrote in number 12 or whatever it needed to be, and I said, Mr. Randi will not work for segregated audiences. And I signed it right there on the table, and they said, oh, yeah, you got a lot of luck in getting that through. So I mailed it. I got a call from Raja Raboid. You know that name at all?
No.
Raja Raboid was doing a mentalism act. He was a strict Southern cracker. He was a total idiot. But I was the opening act for his show, and the money was pretty good on this. This was a tour of, well, as I say, 3.5 weeks in Florida. And he had issued the contract, and he was very big with AGVA, the American Guild of Variety Artists, at that time.
And they actually had power back then.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't just a bunch of ventriloquists going,
I was an AGVA member.
So was I was AGVA. Were you AGVA?
Yes, I was.
All right.
Aggravated.
I didn't need to be, though. But I was.
But in any case, I got a call from them. They said, you can't do this. James Randi, this is impossible. I said, well, okay, so I don't work. Well, we already got the posters printed, and we got the announcements out, and the newspaper ads are all arranged and everything. I said, well, hey, that's your problem. I won't work for a segregated audience.
You should have checked the big bold print.
So in any case, they said, well, all right. So I went down there. Ocala, Florida. Okay, I get there. I go out in the afternoon. I see the segregated bus terminal with colored only drinking fountain, white only drinking fountain. And if you go to the Ocala bus terminal, guys, look at the wall above the two drinking fountains that are still there. You can see the lettering that's been painted over. It's still there. You can see it if you get the light off it just right. It's raised, and it's big letters,
Nice.
but 4 inches high. Colored only, white only. And
You don't have to convince us that this happened, by the way.
in any case,
That's a good skeptic. Just in case we're all Holocaust deniers and segregation deniers, Randy's got the proof. This
betcha.
is what we want out of somebody who's making a
you
claim.
betcha. So I did the show. I'm the opening act. I did the straitjacket thing and the audience participation. I'm looking around the audience, all white. In the theater. I said, okay, so white people come to this theater. What do I know? I didn't see any sign outside saying, it was segregated. So finish, I go back and pack up, and Raja Raboid's out doing his thing with the people, with the astrology and the whole business. And I wandered around the front of the theater, walk in. It's a Shriner show, and they're counting programs. And the programs are all numbered consecutively with a big number stamped on the outside. I said, how are you counting programs? It says Ocala, and for this night you can only use... They said, no, these are like the tickets. These are what we give out instead of tickets. Oh, I see. So I wander up into the balcony. All black. All black. Balcony packed. They're sitting in the fire exits and whatnot. It's packed. And one of the fellows turns to me, he says, excuse me, sir, said, we didn't get any programs. Ooh, this is the Shriners, eh? They're walking away with a little cash in their pockets, perhaps. Mm-hmm. So I go downstairs and I grab a full case. And I walk up the stairs unnoticed, and I'm distributing them. Take two, they're small, Everyone's got... I hear a voice behind me saying, what the so-and-so are you doing? And one of those names on your list there, words on your list. And I said, these people didn't get programs. We don't give them no programs. Talking about black people, colored people, you see. So I walked downstairs, around the back, packed up, went across to the bus terminal, took a bus. Left, walked out on the date. The only time I ever did that in my whole life. Got back to New York, and boy, when I walked into Hanson's drugstore, there was silence. Oh boy, has your name been bandied about? And I said, yeah, but I'm going to get paid. I did. I got paid.
They paid you?
Absolutely, because AGVA didn't want this out.
Oh, sure.
They didn't want it knowing that they had tried to make me work for a segregated audience, and when I said I wouldn't. So I got paid.
So the good guys won.
Yeah.
And now you can go to that bus terminal, drink out of any water fountain you want.
Yeah, I go back and forth regularly.
You are a regular Rosa Parks.
There you go. There you go.
James Randi, that's RANDI.org, Randy.org on the web. Paul Provenza and Michael
nothing
Goodell,
on the web.
And I'm Penn Jillette, and we'll be back right after this. every time we have Randi and Provenza on, there's always this one question coming flowing in over the phones. Why aren't they on all the time? Randi, you were just finishing up your story about killing segregation in Florida, which you did not take credit for, but we know you were a small part of it.
There you go. Me and Rosa Parks. Yeah, no, I must say, Godot sits here, doesn't say a great deal. He's on his keyboard. What do we know?
He does when he can get a word in edgewise. We're just not letting him.
Well, he sells something on eBay while we're doing it. But in any case,
he's selling your coffee cup.
He came out with a line there that just got by everybody.
What was that?
When Paul here announced that he'd played in Abu Dhabi, Godot says, "Who books that?" In the business, this is a funny line, and we were talking about the Anson's drugstore there.
Yeah.
If you said something like, "I just got booked in Philadelphia at so-and-so's," who books that would come from everyone around the table, and they'd have pencil and paper.
You know what, Randy? Nothing's changed.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure Hanson's isn't there anymore, but I'm sure there's a place.
There are people actually on a vacant lot now doing exactly that.
But who books that? Yeah, you hear that all the time whenever show people get together.
Well, Godot is show folk. I mean, Godot is as show folk as you get. I mean, you worked Carney. You even worked the circus. Did you work Ringling?
No. The only circus I worked, Ringling's one date to substitute for somebody who fell ill.
But still, you three of us were. You ever worked the Ringling show?
No.
Okay, you're not allowed to say the Ringling Show. When you work on Ringling, you have to say Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth.
I've heard this. That's not an urban legend.
Time. No,
that's a rule.
No.
That's a hard and fast rule. If you don't abide by that, what happens to you?
Well, they fine you or fire you for everything.
No kidding.
Everything. We had when I was at Clown College.
So it's also like a Muslim country.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're fired for that or walking on the roof of the train.
You've done both, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
What if you do it while walking on the roof of the train?
And don't even think of Ringworm Brothers or something like that. No.
Oh, man.
It's Ringling Brothers,
So
Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth. And it was funny, they would give us classes. I don't know, we were in a different year to Clown College. I don't know if it was the same for you, but the class we had in PR, how to do radio and how to do television, you weren't supposed to use any sort of pronoun. You were supposed to say, and you weren't supposed to ever say the show. So you'd have to say stuff like, well, I started working on Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth a few years ago. And when you're working on Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth, they have a whole Clown Alley. That's Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth, Clown Alley. And you wonder why no one put them on the radio or TV. Wow. Enough with the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest show on earth.
Hey, I got Romper Room out of that gig. I was on Romper Room.
Were you really?
And Bozo in Chicago.
Were you a doobie or a don't be?
Yes.
Okay.
Gee, I never played Bozo.
Yeah.
You never played Bozo?
Oh, but I did the Magic Clown. I played the Magic Clown in the series.
Define did. We don't need your little pet names for parts of your body.
That, my friend, is why it's the greatest show on earth.
I don't get much call for that number anymore.
The kids seem to like it.
So tell us about you doing the Magic Clown.
No, I got a call from Tico Bonomo. That wouldn't mean anything to you, except Bonomo's Turkish Taffy.
Bonomo's Turkish Taffy.
Yes,
you slap it, and you crack it.
Hey, he knows. He knows. Memory like an elephant. Yeah. Well, I got a call from Tico Bonomo, and he had me do a whole series of Magic Clown episodes, and the idea was this. Like, there's a guy named Uncle Ben or something, who knows?
No, he's the rice. He's the rice.
Yes. Not the taffy. Not the taffy.
All right, Uncle Provenza, then. Okay. In a small town.
You're really good at this improv thing, aren't you? Really good. You're fast.
He does a kids show, and he needs a little bit of talent on the show, you see, because he's not much talent. And they worked out a series of these little inserts.
Now, when you think a little bit of talent, you think James Randi.
You got it. You got it,
As
baby.
the Magic Clown.
I inflate it. I have a voice pump. And what they designed this for was a very clever idea, actually, good commercial idea, that they would do in the studio when they were doing Uncle Provenza's kid show or whatever. He's saying,
Uncle Provenza's shed of secrets.
Or subtitle, don't tell the adults.
Talk about walking on your lines. I see why they walk all over here. Yeah.
Hey, kids, get in the van.
Show him the doll where he touched you.
So they say to the director, do a camera pan very swiftly to the left left camera pan, after the announcer says, and now, here's a visit from the Magic Clown. And they would do a pan, you see.
Were you wearing makeup?
I would completely. The only time of my life I shaved off the beard.
Wow.
I shaved off the beard for doing this in Canada with a guy named Ted Cott. May he rot in hell. He was a producer, director that I hated. He was so mean, cruel. We won't get into that. And I had the wig, the whole thing, but my name never appeared on screen because I didn't want to be credited with doing the Magic Clown. But the money was fabulous. And the idea was...
Hey, Randy, who books that game?
I hate you! You're never coming on the show again!
You beat back to it.
I had it in my head. I was leaning over.
You know, if I was looking just slightly to the left, we could have nailed it simultaneously.
Who books that?
Well, in any case, it would go for like 2 minutes, my little spot on the thing, and now back to our program, and they'd pan right, you see, and the camera in the studio would do the same thing, blend in with it, and the kids would all think, if they were really stupid, that they'd seen the Magic Clown. But I did individual tricks or illusions, and it went on for a whole... It sold... Are you ready? I had to tell you this. It actually sold in Abu Dhabi and in Detroit, the only two markets it sold in all of its time. Now, Kim Schallenberg, who's...
Scheinberg, yeah.
Scheinberg, I'm sorry, I got mixed up with my office staff. Scheinberg, who was doing the research on the biography you're doing, yeah. And we won't tell him the title, though, which is very catchy.
Okay.
In any case, she's been checking up on this. She actually got some of the excerpts.
Really?
She got some footage from it.
Did she get it from Detroit or Abu Dhabi?
I don't know, but I'm going to kill her after I get the footage.
Wow. So wait a second. Let me just think about this for a second. Is it possible that the Osama bin Laden tapes have been coming out of Detroit?
I refuse to discuss that any further.
Okay.
How old were you?
Let me see. In my late 20s, I guess.
And you were doing the Magic Clown.
Yeah.
Shaving the beard and doing the Magic Clown.
Well, Chico Bonema had the rights to the show, you see. And after the Magic Clown went off in black and white TV, he kept on doing the things as far as he could. He did them out of Chicago for a while, but they never went anyplace. And
now, have you ever worn clown makeup? I mean, in public?
On Friday nights.
Oh, yeah.
Every Friday night,
painful stuff.
Well, tell Randy how long you were in clown makeup. How many hours a week?
80 hours a week. 80 hours a week.
For how many years?
How much time do you think you spent putting it on and taking it off?
3 minutes.
Really?
Yes, we used to race every morning.
Wow.
We really did.
Wow.
And the nose is what killed me. I had the bulbous nose. You
still do.
You had the bulbous nose.
You had work.
It was sore.
You had work done.
They put it on with spirit gum in those days.
Yes.
Yeah. And got
hurts,
from real spirits, made from real spirits. Yeah.
And did you wear a little nose?
I did wear a little nose, but mine was held on with fishing line.
I see.
So you both of you have correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember hearing at some point that when you become a clown at the Ringling College, you get a face that is yours.
Yes, I have a face that's mine, and you have one. Yeah.
And nobody is allowed to have that same face?
Well,
nobody has your face underneath that makeup.
Ethically, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, ethically, it's not.
You're not supposed to, but
it's frowned upon.
And
but
I
it's
had
clown,
to go
so it's hard to frown.
When I was at clown college, I had to go to remedial makeup, and that's really true. We would have classes.
You failed makeup, and had to go to remedial
I would have
makeup?
to go Saturdays. You know, the one day we had off. Or at least the afternoon. We worked half the day Saturday. I would have to go.
Well, how do you feel that, Mr. Jillette, your eyes are on this part of your head?
My makeup was so sloppy, so uninspired, so unpleasant. They would take me into a room on Saturday, and all the, Frosty Little and all the clowns. He has a yin yang in his makeup. They would try to help me. Try to put it on right, and I'm just not artistically inclined, and I just sucked at makeup. A lot of the stuff at clowning, I really, really sucked at. However, you were a good clown, right?
I was a very good clown.
But
you
not
were an evil clown.
I was an evil clown. Yeah. And now, direct from hell, here comes Beelzebub the Clown. Hi, boys and girls.
How much time do you have now? I have a clown story
seconds.
to tell you.
Yeah, a clown story. We're going to tell that. We're going to tell that clown story right after we come back from this. In case you're wondering who those voices are.
telling you, she was hot.
We talked about clown porn and clown sex here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Okay, we'll talk later. James Randi, Paul Provenza, Michael Goudot, and I, of course, am Penn Jillette, the Magic Clown. Free FM, penradio@gmail.com, penradio.com. I am Penn Jillette, sitting with Michael Goudot, and two of my closest friends, Paul Provenza and James Randi. And Randy was just talking about being the Magic Clown. So did you stop all your dates as James Randi while you were a Magic Clown?
Yeah, well, it was like 2-week gig up in Toronto, Canada, and we got them all in the can.
And how long did it take to grow the beard back?
Oh, well, a good 4 or 5 weeks at least, and it wasn't much at the end of that.
So there are people who saw the Amazing Randy beardless?
Well, I stayed home a lot. Yeah. No, but they actually made me a fake beard.
Who's they? Who's they?
Well,
the Taliban? Who made you a fake beard?
The production company. I don't know who produced it.
Uncle Provenza.
Fly-by-night group.
Did the Magic Clown people make you the beard, or the other production company?
No, they put the Magic Clown people.
Oh, that was part of your deal?
Yeah.
That was part of the thing you scrawled at the bottom? No segregated audience, and make me a fake beard, and I wanted to have large breasts.
You must have seen the contract. How did you see that? Yeah. But anyway, they made me one so that because I had a gig, I had an important TV show following, coming back from Canada, and it was the dead of winter, and I wasn't going to sit there and try to grow a beard by force feeding or something like that. I don't know if you could do that even.
Randy Freud Gras. So they gave you a fake beard, and you did shows with a fake beard?
I did one show, just one TV show.
What did that feel like?
Do you realize what kind of a trick you could have had going on then?
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine?
I've never been a clown on purpose, but I do have a clown story.
Okay.
So maybe this will make you guys like me.
Is it heartwarming?
Okay. Maybe you'll let me play your little reindeer games. On Comics Only, which is a show I did on Comedy Central back before Comedy Central was actually, seen by anybody. Back then it was known as the Stealth Network.
And a great show.
We did some good stuff.
But
we had amazing writers. T-Sean Shannon, Fred Wolf. I asked you guys 1,000,000 times.
I just said you never had us on. I didn't see you never asked
fair enough.
Yeah, who was booking it? I didn't get on it either. Clearly you were booking it. None of your friends
Randy
were
would have been on, but we had a segregated audience. We did a sketch. It was a talk show for comedians, by comedians of comedians, and also a parody of a talk show at the same time. It was this weird thing. The premise of the sketch was we were waiting for the clown troupe from the Red Apple Circus. We're going to come by and do a show. And they were running late. And then towards the end of the show, Fred Wolf is sitting by the monitor, and he switches it to CNN, and we see this broadcast where the reporter is standing by the side of the road, and we really elaborately did this. We overturned a car and broken glass everywhere, and fires running on the side and stuff. I just talking about there was the accident that the clown troupe from the Red Apple Circus had been in a horrible accident, and we had paramedics pulling dead clown after dead clown out of the little car.
And still I wasn't on that show.
Okay, that's not the funny part of the story.
That's not?
No, this is where it gets heartwarming. As we're putting this together, right, we realized that we needed at least about 20 clowns.
Whose gag was that? Who wrote that?
That one actually was my idea, and I was really proud of that one. And we only had a very limited budget. We had to do all these elaborate things with. So we found out that to rent a clown suit for the day is about $125.
Woof!
To get a clown is only $75.
Yes, exactly. They do show up naked, though.
I'm not kidding. This is the honest God truth. And so we rented 25 clowns. And what we did was we staged the shot in such a way that the edge of the car is off the left side of the frame. They pull out a dead clown.
You got real clowns. You wouldn't have to do that.
They pull out a dead clown, go to the other side of the camera, they run around. So we just had this endless stream of dead clowns. One of them, by the way, told me that her day job, she wasn't a full-time clown, she was a part-time, her day job was assistant coroner for the Los Angeles County.
So she could really be your specialist there.
Well,
dead clowns should not be breathing.
She actually came up to me and said, because we had makeup and blood and stuff on them, and she actually came up and she go, this isn't really realistic at all, because there would be a little purple around here, and they were like, what is this about? Well, I'm the assistant coroner. It was a beautiful, surreal moment. But anyway, cut two. Now, we did about 5 or 6 takes on this.
He's about to have a Magic Clown episode.
We did about... Randy, you should have asked me who booked that gig. We did about 5 or 6 takes on this, because it was a little tough because the framing was critical or what have you. So we're schlepping dead clowns through broken glass, 5 or 6 times, and several times each as they ran around. And cut to about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we get a legal document that we are being sued, a class action suit, from clowns who are claiming that they were injured in shooting the sketch. And it is unbelievable. It's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. I have a legal document that says Visualize Productions, Jerry Kramer, Paul Provenza. The verses was Skippy, Bippy, Sparkle, Bingo, et al.
That was my clown name, et al.
Et al. The clown. So, can I be in your little clown club now?
Sure. Anybody that uses the phrase, I was schlepping dead clowns over broken glass.
Top sentence, that.
That's very, very good one. You also were going to tell us, you started to tell us during the break, and I wanted you to stop, that you had radio stories about Dubai.
Oh, yeah. How much time do we have?
Plenty.
Okay, good. So, I'm in, I think this was Dubai, yeah. And now the timing on this is critical. This is about July 2002. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so we're going out there and we're doing radio shows. And there are 2 radio stations that we're going to do that have that broadcast in English. One is a commercial radio station. And that was like your typical radio station. You go up there and there's all the gold records on the wall and all the tchotchkes and all the giveaways and all that
and the
sort of
Beef
stuff.
here on Dubai Radio.
And they
I'm good at morning radio names. That really is my forte. There's no doubt about it.
Porky and the Fatwa. On the morning zoo. You are sacred, announcer. Anyway, it's a commercial station. It looks like commercial. Like anything in the West, fine. And they tell us point blank right at the top, because they do this all the time. There's things you cannot talk about. Do not talk about Islam. Do not talk about drugs and alcohol. Do not talk about prostitution. So, the segment starts with, comedy, it's hot, it's the new rock and roll, it's this or that. And I had just gotten up after flying all the way over there, just jet lag, groggy,
flying
whatever.
All the way over there with drugs, alcohol, Islam, and hookers.
No, I get those there. Anyway, duty free. So the first question he asked is, so they say that comedy is the new rock and roll. Do you think that's true? And I said, if it was true, there'd be a lot more drugs and hookers in my life. Boom, I'm out the door.
Oh, jeez. Back to the airport.
I'm out the door. The promoter who's with me at this point is like, are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? This guy was he's not promoting there anymore because he couldn't handle the stress of dealing with comics and this reality.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that takes a very special person.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, anyway, he was like, how could you stay? You gotta go. Now we got to go to the other radio station. He's like, don't do anything like that again. Whatever you do, don't do anything like that again. And now I'm like,
just doing an accent there? Was he?
No, he was British. Okay. He was just, no, this was Fury and Rage. Okay. The accent of Fury and Rage.
If you need Yosemite Sam, call on me.
That's what he was doing. Don't you do that again.
I hate Italian comics worse than wabbits.
So we go to the next station. Now, the next station is government owned. That is not like all the radio stations you've been to. That's like Soviet Russia in 1950. It's all cinder block, barbed wire.
Give us an example that we all recognize, right?
Well, you've seen movies.
Okay, sure.
This is the place that on the news when somebody, when there's a revolution in that country, this is the place where all the people swarm to control the media. And And walking through those halls was vastly different from the commercial station because all they have on the walls, they don't have gold records and pictures of concert posters or anything. What they have is big, huge portraits of guys in dish dashes, the traditional garb in that region, handing each other, shaking hands and all that. And one huge, must have been 15 feet by like 9 feet of like 3 guys in dish dashes, maybe handing over the radio contract or whatever, and they're all smiling and that sort of thing. And as we're walking by, I just mutter, "Oh, look, a boy band." And the promoter goes, "Don't you even think about it."
What a smooth talker, Provenza.
So we get into the studio, and now there's another comedian that I'm with at this point, right? And now I'm so gun shy. I'm just like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to let him do the thing, and I'll go, "Yes, that's true. We're having a really nice time, and we're happy to be here." And I'm just going to play it safe. Let him take the flak. Let him, show up this morning. And so the thing is going on, and I'm really quiet. I think I may have said like 2 or 3 things at this point, about 5 minutes into this thing. And then they decide that the other comic is handling most of the interviews, and then they decide they're going to give away some tickets to listeners. They go, "Let's give away some tickets to our listeners. What should we do? 10th caller, 12th caller? No, I've got an idea. Let's make it a trivia question. We're going to ask a trivia question. Whoever can answer the trivia question gets the free tickets." And they turn and they look at us, and he goes, "What should the trivia question be?" And I just went, "Where's Osama?" Out in the car. Next commercial break, we were done.
Wait a minute. You really said that?
Oh, yeah.
on government radio.
Yeah.
And you're alive.
Yeah, well, that's United Arab Emirates. That's an odd they don't really back that stuff. They're very westernized in many ways, but it's like it was skirting the issue. The punishment was when they came back from commercial, we weren't there.
So the guy that was with you was thrown out too.
The whole crew.
This is something I remember, working with you, doing the movie The Aristocrats. Whatever you get, I get too, right?
That's right. Very similar.
Yeah. 2 radio stations, 1 morning, Paul Provenza, working Dubai. And have you played Dubai since then?
Yes.
And if people show up and go, "He's that radio guy. When he made that Osama joke, I almost died."
Yeah.
I'm not traveling with you, Provenza, if we go anywhere east. Well, 2 miles east.
How do you think I feel about traveling and sharing a room with Magic the Clown?
Well, that's true. I didn't say I was going to share my room with you. You're getting a little presumptuous here.
Isn't presumptuous an awfully big word for... Do we have some...
Do we have an email?
Do we have a Gmail right
Michael
there?
D. Lynn writes in... Said his last name. Yeah, what was I thinking?
It's okay.
Long-time listener, first-time emailer. So who knows? I'm curious what the closest call Randy has had in his investigations. Has there ever been a moment when he thought someone would win the $1 million prize, either through clever cheating or really, really dumb luck?
No.
Next caller, please.
No, I tell you, it's like being pregnant. You can't be almost pregnant. You've got to win the thing, hands down. You either have won or you haven't won, and there are no judges in the thing whatsoever. We've designed it in such a way, it's like I can fly by flap of my arm, stuck to the window. It's that easy. You don't have to have a judge there to decide, I guess he didn't fly. Well, let's consider it. He did flap his arm.
But when somebody's making a claim and going for the challenge, is it made very clear what constitutes a victory for them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now, that's all decided in advance, all firmly written out. No one has ever taken the second test. We did the preliminary test. They all failed the preliminary test. That seems to say something right there.
Don't they set up the test? Don't they tell you what they can do?
Oh, yes. They have to tell us what they can do, under what circumstances, with what accuracy.
And it's all agreed upon. It's not like, these are my rules, these are my rules. All agreed upon.
All in writing, and we agree that independent people will perform the test. If I'm going to do the test, I'm going to say, no $1 million, no cigar, go away. But,
well, on the web, they represent that. The guys represent it all the time as, well, of course Randy's not going to say. But they don't even know that the people that are claiming it design the test and someone else carries it out.
Well, if they look at our FAQs, it's very clearly stated there that we designed the test in conjunction with the people who are making the claim.
That's the question that we get asked a lot, Teller and I, from doing the Bullshot show on Showtime, is people ask us, has there ever been anything that scared you or that seemed real? And it gets so, when I used to read the Skeptic magazine all the time, my girlfriend at the time, I'd get the magazine and open it up and she'd say to me, "So, Penn, what can't people do now?" And that's it. There aren't any close calls, are there?
No,
but if you have powers, if you can do something supernatural and you're sure of it, There's $1 million with your name on it and God's name on it.
20.
All you've got to do.
I'm going to throw in 20.
$1 million and 20. All you've got to do is go to Randy's website, Randi, RANDI.org. RANDI.org. Say you have these powers. Set up the test. Please take our money so we can answer this question the next time we're asked. Penn Jillette, James Randi, Paul Provenza, Michael Goudeau on the Penn Jillette Show on Free FM. See you later.